Hey E, I got a question. Part 2.
Hey, what's going on? It's your boy E, coming to you from Alabama Welcome Center, and it's a pretty nice place. I couldn't pass up the opportunity to film, and right now I'm right next to the truck parking. You can see that behind me, but here we are. Thought I'm gonna get another shot of or another opportunity to film these, frequently asked questions. So let's go and get started. Hey E, what should I bring with me when I leave with my mentor? Alright, well, good question. Some of the things that I have my student bring with them is, pretty much clothing fitting the weather. So right now it's kind of hot, so I'd probably say maybe 2 sets of jeans, 3 sets of shorts, bring plenty of socks, shirts, toiletries, all the things you need, to shower up, deodorant, flip-flops, work gloves, those kind of things. Clothes at least set for maybe 2 weeks, and then if we have to, when we do a 34, we'll get our laundry done. As far as food to take with you, I have access to a hot water maker, so so for that you can, I would say to bring some of the oatmeal or soup, those kind of things. But I wouldn't come to the truck all stocked, but rather what we'll do is we'll fit in a trip to Walmart and give you an opportunity pretty much to do some shopping. As far as cash, I would say bring enough to last you. I would say start with maybe $200, and that's provided that you spend $10 a day, let's say, on food, if you're going to go that far and do that, and not so much cook the soup or that kind of stuff. So let's say you take the route of eating out, $200 $200 will get you probably about 20 days, regards to $10 a day. Unless you do $5 a day, then obviously you can do the math and it lengthens out. But for the most part, we try not to eat out every day, but you want to bring some cash with you just in case. The mentor pretty much will pay for the tolls, we'll pay for anything like that, the scale tickets, those kind of things. So you don't really have to worry about that. But food wise, you got to take care of yourself. Good question. Hey E, are the truck stops safe? Well, I'll tell you what, this is just from my experience. I remember when I first started out too, I kind of read into the stories and all those things that you hear about, truck drivers and truck stops and, being robbed and killed and this and that. And I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but honestly I think, if we follow some common sense rules, we're able to avoid a lot of things. Now I'll tell you, I've been to a few truck stops where I've questioned it, like, do I want to stay here? It doesn't really look very good. So I'd move. Simple as that. I would move. I try to avoid certain things like, staying alone on the highway, being in isolated areas, all by myself, staying in the dark places per se. But what I will do is I stay in highly populated spots with a lot of lighting, with plenty of traffic, foot traffic, car traffic, truck traffic, those kind of things. And for the most part, those truck stops are pretty safe. I mean, you get your panhandlers every now and then, people asking for a handout or something, and that's to be expected. But for the most part, it's very safe. You get your peddlers. I've seen people sell DVDs, pillows, piñatas, all kinds of stuff. But all you do is you wave them off, and then they pretty much back off. So I mean, it's pretty good. But if you're looking for trouble, I'm pretty sure you can find it. So that goes without saying as well. So basically, when I get to a truck stop, I'll look around, I'll see if I like it, and if it looks good, calm and everything, I just draw the curtains, and then I lock the doors, and voila. And pretty much they leave you alone, because life of a truck driver is pretty much drive and sleep. So but yeah, for the most part, very, very safe. I feel comfortable, and I'll say like 95% of the places I stay, I'm pretty comfortable. So good question. Safe. What's the difference between solo and teams? Does Swift make you team? What do you recommend? Alright, well, I get this question a lot, and really what it gets down to is this is how the process kind of works. You go through the orientation, you get assigned a mentor, you go out, you get that done, you graduate from the truck, and then the option is yours. You get to either choose. You get the team or go solo. From there is pretty much figuring out what exactly is your thing. There's some people out there who just love the team. They want a team, and I don't blame you, because at the end of the day, I wanted a team when I first jumped out too, because it's very intimidating to be out there by yourself, and I get it. There's a lot of things to watch out for. You're nervous, and okay, so teaming is you know, it's always an option. And then there's some people who are like, I can't stand a partner, I'd rather go solo. And then there's that option. You know, how do you know which one is for you? You just pretty much got to ask yourself, you know, the questions. It's kind of like this, you know, do you work well with others? That's always a good one. You're going to get along with your teammate. You know, do you trust that person to drive? You know, those kind of things. You know, do you want your own space? That'd be a soloist. You know, you work better by yourself. That's a soloist. You know, so you got there's some common sense things you got to know, you got to answer. But when it all breaks down to it, it's, you know, it's money. That's what it gets down to. So, you know, teams will make more than a soloist because you go farther. The basic math is pretty much this: a soloist, when you're first starting out, is going to make 25 cents a mile. 25 cents a mile, and your goal is, you know, 2,500 miles a week, which is going to equal 10,000 miles a month. So I'll put the little total piece. That's how much you're going to make, gross. Team, you're going to make pretty much, you know, you're going to do more miles. So the team itself gets, I believe it's 16 cents a piece. I think it's 31 cents for the truck. I could be wrong. It could be 32. Oh, we'll use 32 for right now. So 32 cents for the truck. You split that 50-50, and you're gonna run about 5,000 miles a week, which is about 20,000 miles a month, and then that's gonna be your total right there. So in the end, it's pretty much, you know, you make a little bit more money when you're team. Teams roll a lot quicker. You're always moving. If you want to see sights, you're gonna see them. You know, I would imagine that the soloists get kind of pinned in, you know, into this little region, you know, of a corridor or what have you, but the teams go cross country. That's just what they do. Let's see. And you get across the states a lot quicker. So if you're looking for home time, you know, when you're a soloist, and let's say you're in the East Coast and you're trying to get to the West Coast, it's going to take you about 5 or so days to try to, you know, finagle to get home. But for teams, I mean, you can cut that down right into like maybe 3. So that's not bad. So what do I recommend? If anything, because I'm covering a blanket of people, I'll probably say this: start solo. You can start solo. That works. Try it out. If you don't like it, flip the teams, and vice versa. I guess if you like start with teams, and then you don't like it, flip to solo. So you know, really, what it gets down to is, you know, you got to figure out what you want. So I personally like solo. I do. I like solo. It's my own times, my own schedule. I stop whenever I want. I go wherever I want. You know, for me, I'm very focus driven. So if I push myself to 600 miles, I don't got to worry about my partner. I can just push. You know, so for me, solo is really good. There's a big freedom. But you know, on the flip coin, teams has its privileges. I've been in positions, you know, that I'm thank God I was in teams, because at the end of the day, you know, my teammate would get out the truck and would, you know, guide traffic, because you know, just because the shipper or the receiver was in a spot where honestly, without, you know, a teammate's help, it would have been really difficult to get out, stop traffic myself as a soloist, you know, and do all that. So teammates add a lot of help. There's a lot of benefits to that, but at the same time, you know, I'm living with that person, you know, 24 hours for the most part. So you got to get along with your teammate. So that's pretty much it. Sorry, very broad category, but in the end, you know, team or solo is really up to the driver. Hey E, does the driver pay for fuel? What does the driver pay for? Okay, well, in the end, you know, the driver has you know, the financial responsibilities of taking care of just a couple things. You know, taking care of mainly, you know, scale tickets and toll booths. You know, so whenever I cross a toll that requires cash, then I'll pretty much front it. Or if I, you know, get loaded on a heavy haul and then I have to scale it out, then that's, you know, something I have to cover as well. But in all those things, you get reimbursed. As far as paying for fuel, a company man does not pay for fuel. So we get a Comdata card, and the Swift will pretty much activate the card or open up the card or open up the pump and allow us to fill up. But as a driver, pretty much company, you're not financially responsible to pay for fuel. And you know, for myself, I take care of the scale tickets, and I also carry with me, you know, just enough cash to take care of any kind of tolls. But you know, as you drive, you start learning the routes, and you'll start learning how to get around certain toll booths. And then on top of that, you know, I personally have, not only do I have the Easy Pass, which is good for a lot of places, but I'm also good for the Kansas City Turnpike Pass and the Oklahoma Turnpike Pass. So I keep my cash down to a minimum. But that's about it. So the food is on you. Everything else, you know, Swift pretty much covers. Hey E, do you guys still use paper logs? So this is another question I get all the time, and pretty much the answer to that is no, we don't use paper logs anymore. We're actually on E-log, which is kind of cool. But you know, it's a hard, good habit to not break, if that makes any sense. And what I'm saying is pretty much for myself, I use paper logs, but I only use them as a reference. So I don't sign them at the end, and I don't sign the little bottom box at the end. So pretty much, you know, I'm only using them to help me visually see, you know, what I'm doing. So I technically keep paper logs, but they're not you know, legally used. So I'm on E-log technically, and from what I understand is that you're not allowed to use both paper logs and E-logs. It's considered double logging, having two books, and then in that is illegal. So so basically I only use them as a reference. So I still push paper logs. I still think somebody should know how to keep a paper log and know how to effectively use a paper log, because in the end, you know, to visually see your day makes it so much easier, because the E-log is great, but at the end of the day, it's, you know, it's tough to see exactly how your day is about to go. Hey E, what kind of drug testing do you guys do? So currently Swift administers the urine testing only, so far that I've heard. But I've read an article that pretty much the other companies are implementing the hair follicle testing, not so much the blood, but the hair, yes. The thing is, you know, with that said, is you can't guarantee that Swift will only do the urine testing at one point. So, you know, people ask me about this, you know, how do they test and everything, and so far it's only been, you know, through the urine testing. But for the most part, I'll say this, you know, don't do nothing dirty, don't have to worry about that. So my encouragement to anybody out there who wants to get into the business is, you know, stay clean. You know, just stay clean. You know, make good decisions, and don't wreck your future with any company. And you know, so there won't be a need to worry about, you know, what kind of testing they do. But to answer the question, nonetheless, so far it's only been urine, and it's random. So they'll call you, and you just go, and that's pretty much it. Currently, I think I've been tested like 3 times. So. You know, but they do, so they randomly check. Hey E, do I get to take my truck home? Well, I'll try to answer that to the best of my ability. Pretty much, it's from my understanding, and it goes like this. If you live somewhere within the vicinity of maybe a 50-mile or less radius then to a terminal, then you can, I would say, they let you take your truck home. Although that is kind of suspect, because, you know, I've heard of cases where people actually take the truck home and they live 90 miles away. From my understanding, it was basically because, you know, Swift was footing that fuel bill for you to get home as the company man. So on that note, you know, they might call you on it, telling you, hey, you kind of live far. You know, that's not such a good route. Personally, for myself, I leave my truck at the terminal and I take my personal car home. I live about 80 miles from the terminal, but you know, I'm out enough to where I'm not driving the 80 mile every day, so you know, it's okay for me. And the reason why I prefer a terminal is because of this. When you take your truck home, you are assuming all responsibility. So the moment I drop that truck in the terminal, it is not my responsibility anymore. Somebody can scratch it, break it, dent it, break into it, steal it, tag it, vandalize, you know, snatch the hubcaps. You know, they can do whatever they want to do, and it's not my fault. It's not my problem. It's on Swift's property, Swift's yard. Swift's guards are watching it, and then that's not my problem. But the moment you take it home, those same things happen to that truck, and you're financially responsible, or I would imagine you're financially responsible. So, although this answer doesn't have any definitive terms, you know, the whole point is, yes, you can take your truck home, but, you know, I would probably say clear it with, you know, your manager, or get some kind of authority to to okay that, because in the end you don't want to get stuck with the bill or something bad happening, and then all of a sudden you're left holding the bag. So that's the best I can offer with that one. Okay, well that pretty much does it. The last thing I wanted to do is give a closing comment to a couple, a situation I didn't expect. So here's what happened. I'm getting people on my Facebook now, which is kind of cool. It's been really good to connect with people, and some of the ones that I didn't expect is these young dudes. I have a couple of buddies on there. I have Nigel and I have Mark, and it's been really cool because they hit me through email telling me that they're like 13 and they want a truck and all this other stuff, and they wanted me to offer them some advice. So this would be my advice to any young dude wanting to get in the game, regarding trucking. And it's this: first, make sure it's what you want to do, and if it is, then that's great. But I would tell you this: do good in everything that you do. Do good in school. Apply all that hard work and effort to school. Learn that reading, that writing, the math. Learn your geography. Learn how to read maps. But basically just do well. Do well in school and make good decisions. Stay clean. Don't take drugs. Don't get into drinking. Just pretty much start making good life decisions, because a lot of other drivers will probably tell you the same thing, which is basically a bad decision can detour you from doing what you want to do. And in this case, if it's trucking, it can totally stop you from trucking. So keep good. Don't have no bad police reports. Stay clean, because eventually you get the fingerprint, and they want to make sure that the person driving has a clean record. So there's more opportunities. The cleaner you leave your life, or the cleaner you live your life, the more opportunities that you get. So I'd encourage you guys just to keep your dream and do good from here until then. And that's about it. That wraps up all the questionnaires for right now. And if you guys have any other ones, just hit me through the email. If they become frequently asked, then I'll make a video on that. But until then, man, it's your boy E in Alabama right now, about to jam out to Georgia. So, signing out. Peace.